Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Adult and Pediatric Institute podcast. I am your host, Nicole. This is a podcast where we get messy, we get real, we talk about life, and we get vulnerable with limited filters. On my last podcast episode, I talked about myself, which was a little unusual and uncomfortable, and I try to be a little more modest than that. So today I get to do something way more exciting than talk about myself. I get to bring on my partner in healing, my partner in crime, Dr. Marielle Perletisi Morales. She lovingly goes by Dr. P. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. P.
Nicole. And finally, you said it right. Dr. P. Perletisi Morales, for those of you who doesn't know me. Yes, and thank you. Thank you for having me today. And I know we're going to have a couple more together in the future as part of this new journey, which I know you and I love. So thank you. Thank you for having me and for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself to everybody else. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm happy we were able to coordinate schedules and we were able to kind of clear your client schedule a little bit for this podcast, because I think it's really important that people get to know you and they get to know that you're a real human being. The human that I see is someone who is incredibly intelligent and really takes the time to listen. And I know that there's other psychiatrists out there that are probably equally as great, right? We don't know every single one out there. But I'm not going to talk about them. I'm only going to talk about you. And I will talk about, other practices that I know I've experienced as a mom and as a person that has also sought mental health treatment, that they say, oh, they listen and they care, but they're kind of held to the standards of the traditional medical model. Whereas when we say you listen and you really care and you really take the time to talk to people, I don't think people believe it until they get in front of you and they talk to you and they're completely sold on you. So why don't we start with you telling everyone a little bit about where you're from, your educational background, and about your family and how you got into this business.
I am from Puerto Rico. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I actually left Puerto Rico at the age of 18. So throughout those first 18 years of my life, I did everything from school to college until I graduated from my biology bachelor's. And then I always wanted to pursue medicine. Since I was a little girl, I always used to play doctor. I always wanted to be fixing my brother's injuries, falls, my sisters. I was like the mom. And I always knew I wanted to do something, related to help people or, helping them to, to don't have pain or something like that. That was me more as a younger child.
Then later that caretaker, right? Just being a caretaker of everyone around you.
Yes. And then my younger brother had growth hormone deficiency when he was younger. So there was a lot of health issues that we were as a family dealing with, and that it really opened my interest in helping people. I saw my brother in different stages of his life where not only the medical and the overall part of his life was impacted, but mostly his self-esteem and the way he grew and developed throughout his years. So at that time, I think I was maybe in my 13 to 14, 15. At that time, my interest was endocrinology. I really was into the growth hormone part, all this hormonal pathways, the pituitary, all this axis, and for me, it was like, I want to literally help people like my brother when I am an adult. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to pause you there just because I think what you just said is really important, that a lot of us find our way into this field and we find our way into healthcare because we've gone through a personal struggle with a loved one, with ourselves, and we felt so helpless in that moment. And so we go to school because we don't want other people to feel helpless, right? And it sounds like
Absolutely.
that's sort of what happened with your brother.
Yes. And when I graduated from college, actually my last year of college, and we were doing our parade of what's the next step, you see my big sign on me saying pediatric endocrinologist. Like that was my focus in life. I wanted to be a pediatric endocrinologist, period. And
Which
then
is a great career field, right? So let's just put
yes.
that out there. That's a great career field, and there's not enough of those either.
No, it's an amazing, but to get there, the trajectory was awful. So that's how my life started to change when I finished college. I applied to med school and I went to Mexico. I already had friends there who were telling me how amazing was that place and the school and everything else. So I made the choice to go to Mexico where I did completed my 4 years of medical training. In Mexico, it's when I started to realize all the pathways I needed to do to become an endocrinologist. And it was like, oh my God, I have to do all this. I have to go through all these rotations. I have to focus on this. And there were a lot of things that it was not in my interest. So I started to have an opening in my mind of let me explore other specialties. So by the time I finished med school in Mexico, I had to complete a 1 year of fifth pathway program, which was like the bridge from the Mexico credentialing paperwork to the transition to becoming a US trained physician. So over my 4 years in Mexico, I did a 1 full year under the New York Medical College Fifth Pathway program, where I repeated my last year in Mexico, which is totally clinical. I completed another full year of clinical rotations in New York through St. Mary's Hospital Center in Connecticut.
Okay,
In
so
that
hold
road,
on, hold on.
yes.
Let me stop you. So just for those out there that don't know, this is what? How many years of college? My kids were asking me, Mommy, how many years of college did Marielle have to go through? And I was like, oh, girls, so many years. So this is what, 8, 9 years?
4 years of
Yeah.
college, four
Okay.
years of med school, 1 year of fifth pathway, 4 year of general psychiatry, and 2 years of subspecial psychiatry in children and adolescents, which all combined it's 14 years.
Oh my God, that's so much schooling.
I mean, I'm sorry. 14 years after graduation from high school. So if
Yeah,
you
of
add
course.
the
Yeah.
12 years,
14 years of college. No,
it,
yeah. No, everyone does the high school, right? So
yeah.
just talking about, oh my gosh, that is 14 years of college. Okay, I'm sorry. So that's so much. So after you left Mexico and you did the fifth pathway, you did all of that, then you went to New York,
So then
which
I
you're
went to,
always so
yeah.
humble about this. And I'm going to ask you to not be humble on this podcast. Shout it from the rooftop, right? As women, we have a tendency to shrink ourselves. We have a tendency to stay humble, stay polite. This is part of our upbringing. Some cultures, I think, even more so than others, push women to shrink ourselves. Do not shrink yourself, Dr. P. Shout it from the rooftops because you are amazing. So let's talk about New York a little bit.
So I went to New York and I completed my residency program, general psychiatry program. And later on, so 4 years and then 2 more years in the same hospital as a CAP fellow, which is CAP means Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Fellowship, which is a subspecialty. So those 6 years,
And what school was this at,
I'm going to get
madam?
there.
Okay, all
So
right. Just want to
I
make
did,
sure.
yeah. So I completed all this training through Columbia University. Yes, it's
Yeah,
an
you
I.
did. Columbia
Well,
University, guys. This
yes,
is
and
a badass female Hispanic physician that graduated from this program from Columbia University. If I can figure out how to insert like an applause into this podcast, I will try to do that.
So for you guys to understand why Nicole is saying this, it's in my diplomas, it's all over the place, but I just say, yeah, I did my training in this hospital. Last year, I had my niece here working with us for a summer job. And one day she was in my office and she was looking around and she's like, Titi, are you from Columbia University? Do you know that that's an Ivy school? And I'm like, what are you talking? Yeah, I know Columbia. It's a Titi. Why I don't know you are from Columbia? You have never, ever mentioned Columbia. I'm like, I don't know.
I love
Just,
it.
So since that day, between my niece, Daniela, which I love to death, and my partner, my beautiful partner, Nicole, have been training me on, girl, you cannot not say this.
Yes, it's such a big deal. It's so prestigious and you deserve it. You worked hard. That wasn't given to you to be able to get into a program like that. You had to work for that.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to go into psychiatry? What was the change in your life that you went from endocrinology into psychiatry?
So that started actually in Fifth Pathway. During Fifth Pathway, I had to do full rotations in every single specialty. And then in your first year of residency, you do repeat that full year of rotations in all different specialties. So 2 full years, so 6 months in internal medicine, and then another 6 months in first year of residency for internal medicine. So to become an endocrinologist, you have to finish internal medicine, then you do pediatrics, then you do endocrinology as a residency. And if you want to do pediatric endocrinology, you do specialty. Yeah. So
okay. Was there any one thing during like your psychiatry rotation that it really just stuck with you?
I just had the experience of Mexico, and psychiatry in Mexico, it's a little bit different. It's older school. You still see people being restrained with church, and you still see people like you see in the movies, or at least in the areas that I practiced. It was very underserved area.
That's a future podcast right there. That's a future podcast topic.
Definitely.
Is to talk about the history of psychiatry and lobotomies and restraints and all of that.
So when I did that rotation in Mexico, one of the things I told my husband at the time, he was my boyfriend, I told him, hey, I know I am never going to do psychiatry. So that's why I say life took me, because I let the flow of life take me.
I love that.
I never said a no, but I was able to tell you, I know what I don't want to do. And I didn't want to do psychiatry based on my experience in Mexico. However, when I did my first 6 months of internal medicine, I was miserable. I was crying every morning. And then all this, it's so much. And I was like, really? I have to do this to become an endocrinologist? So I was miserable, but willing to do it. That was Fifth Pathway. During Fifth Pathway, we apply to your specialty. So I applied to every single program of internal medicine in the nation just because I wanted to make it. And unfortunately, I did not match. And matching, it's another topic. But when I did not match to internal medicine, for me, believe it or not, was a relief. Because for someone who doesn't match, it's like, oh my God, I didn't match. But at that point of the match, I already had completed my psychiatry rotation. And this is when my mental shift happened.
And I would imagine when you were filling out the application to see if you could match with internal medicine, maybe there was some subconscious, self-sabotage in that application.
I didn't even thought about it.
Wasn't necessarily in it.
During all this process, I did had my psychiatry rotation, and it was the best month or 2 months ever. My interaction with the patients, the assessments, my reports to the attendings, my presentations to them,
All of it, just like
the
all of the
report.
things that you have to do. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end, the all this reports and letter of recommendation, and they telling me, Marier, are you sure you don't want to be a psychiatrist? I am telling you, you would be a great asset. The patients love you, and they have this tendency to open to you. And if they don't trust their doctor, it's not
They'll
for
never open
you.
up.
All the
Yeah.
patients you have seen, the most complex ones, I had one that I was selectively mute with everyone except me. And it just made a difference. I felt great. I felt like I belong here. So
Yeah.
when I did not
You were
match,
doing your life's purpose. You were really helping people.
I really enjoyed that rotation, and the outpatient one was even amazing. So come March, my rotation in psychiatry, I believe it was December, January, and then March is the match. I did not match, but I could go into a scramble. Scramble means it's a second round for a match. For every single candidate that did not match in the first round, you have a second opportunity. So in this second opportunity, I did not apply for internal medicine, not even one. And I applied to all the open spots available after the match for
For
psychiatry.
psychiatry.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And I got 3 calls in that interview. I was fighting for that position with 2 other candidates, 2 other amazingly great candidates, research, lots of volunteer experience, lots of psychiatry involvement, lots of
Yeah.
great letters of recommendation. And I am me, Mariel, going into this interview feeling super small, super nothing.
Inadequate compared to them.
Yes, because this girl on side of me, it's like, and do you did that? And do you have that? And she was telling me all her CV, and I am like, what the heck is
Just
happening here?
feeling insecure.
Yes. So it was my time. I went in, and you know what, Nicole? I just was myself.
Yeah.
I said the most terrible mistakes grammatically. I even stand up to my program director at the time saying, like, not believing that there was an error in my application. And I'm like, really? And I stand up. I went to him, show me, show me. I just was myself.
So there you have it, folks. Even doctors get nervous and they get scared and they sometimes feel insecure. Even the highest level of people in our country that we look up to, they're also human. Imagine that.
And girl, the interview was about me. He never asked me anything about what I did for psychiatry, why. It was literally a conversation with about 2 people who just met, and why I was there, yes. But other than that, it was through the CV. Oh, I see you were in LSU for a year. Tell me more about that. Oh, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Tell me more about your family. Oh, da, 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 da. And then I left. Same day, I got my offer. And
Oh.
I was like, what? I couldn't even believe it. I couldn't even imagine that those 2 other candidates were not chosen in front of me because they were on paper
Yeah. But it was meant to
100%.
be.
But it
This was
was
meant to
meant to
be.
be.
This was meant to be. This was your passion. And that, I'm sure, came across.
Yes. And that got there. So I did that general psychiatry program through Columbia University at the Harlem Hospital, which is an affiliated hospital for Columbia. And I did also my child psychiatry subspecialty. And another side note on how I did not fight life in that flow. It's when I was in psychiatry, when I was a 4th-year graduate, I was the chief resident of our class, and I was about to graduate. And I was always saying, I know what I want to do, but I know better what I don't want to do. And guess what? I don't want to do child. Many reasons why. It was not bad reasons, but I did set it. I just know I don't want to do child psychiatry. I am more interested in forensic psychiatry. And I actually started looking for options to go into a program in New York that, blah, blah, blah. And again, life hit me in the face.
Yep.
Here I am, almost 15 years later, being a child psychiatrist. And the reason it made me change was taking the position of child psychiatry, which was offered directly. I didn't even apply to it.
But they saw it in you and wanted you to.
They saw it in me, and the program director came to me one day and said, hey, we have a spot, and we all consider that we really want you to do this. You have all what is required to become an amazing child psychiatrist, and we have no doubt that if you take it, we won't regret. And hey, girl, I took it, and I never regret. I love what I do. And yes.
And you have a way with adolescents. And I always, I jokingly say to parents or really anyone who wants to ask that you're like the teen girl whisperer. You have this way with teen girls that you just sit down with them. And I think that that's probably what your directors of the program probably saw in you, is that you have this humanness about you and this vulnerability when you talk to people, that you can just be human. And for whatever reason, teen girls just pick up on that. And when we see like 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 16-year-old girls, and same thing with kids, little kids too, but little kids, I think, are sometimes a little bit easier to get them to open up to you. Teen girls, I feel like that is your hardest population. They don't want to talk. They don't want to talk to you. I know, I'm going through that right now in my own house. But they sit down with you and you can get them to just open up to you about some of their deepest and darkest secrets in such a short amount of time that it always amazes me. I love to see that. It's just something about you. They just open up.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't work too much at home, though.
Yeah, right? With our own kids.
With your own kids, it's a totally different, game.
Yeah, easier said than done. You're mom to them. So
yes.
All right. So my next question for you then is, what is something that, you're a female in business, you're a female physician, you're a Hispanic physician. What is something that you have struggled with in your career? And maybe it's related to your demographics and the fact that you're a minority. Maybe it's not. What's something that you feel like you've really struggled with?
So you know what? The minority, the female part, being Hispanic, hasn't been a major issue for me. I'm pretty easygoing, and although I do see certain moments where I can say, there was some sort of racism here or something going on, I really don't pay attention.
Stereotyping, maybe.
Or stereotype. Yeah, I don't really pay attention to that. I learned. I've been in the U.S. for over 20 years now, and that doesn't really bother me. It does. I am very aware of my accent. So yes, that's something I need to work on myself, because I do feel that maybe I don't know, it's something about that part. However, the major part that I can say that, and I can be honest, and maybe a little bit more vulnerable here, that I still struggle with, it's imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Since I started, even in medicine, even in med school, wherever I am, I just feel so small. I feel less than others. If I'm in a group with other doctors, I am like, what are you doing here, Mary? And then on the other side, I feel I am amazing. I can sit down to any other doctor, any other child psych, and I know I'm gonna bright, I'm gonna shine, because I know what I do. I know I do it right. It's just I never feel good enough in the face, in the eyes of others, that I am not enough. I need to keep showing the world that I am, for example, an autism specialist. Or it's hard for me to tell the world I do this, because it's a lot of doubt, a lot of
Yeah, that
And it
imposter syndrome, what you said.
and at some point I stopped even as being assertive for myself. I stopped saying
Yeah.
no for
And I
things
think
that
that
I
that's really
yes.
yeah, I think that that's really common. I'm sorry, I think, the
No, no,
microphones
no.
are going a little in and out, but that's okay. So sorry to not to talk over you, but I think that that is so common with imposter syndrome is first of all, that's a whole nother podcast that we
Mm.
absolutely have to do, and
And
we'll pull some facts
yes.
and figures and data on it because that is it is everywhere. I feel it all the time. I make comments all the time myself of, "Oh my god, I don't belong on that list. The people on that list are real adults. I'm just pretending to be an adult," you know? And I joke about it, but that's my coping mechanism is to make a joke about it. Other people, their coping mechanism to deal with their imposter syndrome is, I think, more closely related to yours, is they just don't do it. They don't put themselves in a position to where they have to feel that, and it holds them back.
Another example, like you and I are in this amazing journey that I am loving every moment, every second. And is this entrepreneurship journey of two women, businesswomen trying to make a huge impact, right?
Yeah,
It's killing me. It's
yeah,
killing me on Mariel. You are a doctor. Why are you in this? Why are you doing that? You supposed so it's your mind tricking you
on the business side, just to
on
clarify, you're
on
talking about, like, you're a
yeah,
doctor, why are you in a boardroom type of
oh,
thing.
exactly. Or this,
Yep,
and that's what I want to do. I want to grow. I want to keep like evolving on different areas that I keep impacting
yeah,
more people in different ways. And now that I have you, because I tried to do this alone, and you know that before our
you were
dream of
succeeding, but that yeah,
yeah,
and you were succeeding, just to be clear, you were absolutely succeeding with
yes, when
your private practice that you were doing on your own, but
yeah,
doctors want to be doctors. They don't wanna be only CEOs or only doing spreadsheets.
like at that moment when I was alone and doing great, because I don't regret absolutely anything of what I achieved from Psychiatry Boutique. I did enjoy it a lot. But at some point, I really thought, I want to grow. I cannot say like this. I
Yeah,
want a team. I like to talk to people. I like to have some sort of group with me. And that's when you came. And it has been much more easier for me to share our own challenges because, I mean, for all of you, Nicole is, it's like my shoulder, and then I am Nicole's hand.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we
We
support each
lift each
other.
other up. Exactly. We have to, because 'cause we're human, and we
But
each have strengths and weaknesses,
and
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 we
she
a good partnership, we play off of each other's.
and she empowers my clinical side, I empower her business side, and both of us learn from each other's expertise, business and
Oh,
clinic. So
100%.
I think it's working for me because now this imposter syndrome that I get very consistently, I am learning how to neutralize it, and I
Yeah.
neutralize it with you. I do all my self care activities that I do. Hey, girl, believe in yourself, because if you keep believing, the sky is the limit. And if you believe and believe on you and what you are doing with your team, I mean, there's no way around. We have everything in front of us.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I tell you all the time, but, I'll save it for any listeners, is I truly subscribe to the thought process of fake it till you make it. It's Marielle, you tell me all the time that, "Oh, you're a great speaker and you get in front of these people." And then I always what do I always tell you? "Oh my god, but I was so nervous." I just hide it. I hide it well, right? Fake it till you make it. And so there's I think it's okay to talk about this imposter syndrome because I feel it every single day, but I don't let it inhibit me. And you're learning to
Exactly.
do the same thing. Fake it
Mm-hmm.
till you make it. Will it into existence if you say you're a businesswoman, then you're a businesswoman because you say you're a businesswoman, right? You're a writer if you say you're a writer. You're an actress or an actor if you say you're one. And so that when you put it into the universe and you will it to happen and you say, well, I'm not going to fail because I am this. I am already this. You subconsciously start doing things that a business person would do. You start thinking in ways that a business person would think. You start behaving as a speaker would behave. And next thing you know, you look back and you're like, oh my God, I am adulting. I'm winning at this thing called life. And you're going to fail and you're going to stumble across along the way. But that's where we pick each other up. And that's where we say, okay, yeah, this didn't work out. And we're going to pick each other up. And what are we going to learn from this? And you're doing it. You're there. You're doing it.
One thing I want to add is that at some point in my life, I did feel very burnout from the system, corporate system. I used to work in all this different type of clinics, groups, private practice, inpatient, you name it. And I did got burnout. And I told my husband, I'm quitting. I don't want to do this anymore. I needed to take a good 4 months to myself, reinvent the wheel on myself, see what I really wanted in life and what I don't want in life. And that's how Psychiatry Boutique and now Adult and Pediatric Institute grow, because I looked for help. I did not deny or ignore the fact that for me to move on, I needed help. And I needed help from people who were going through the same thing I was going. So I was in a coaching group for 1 year, and they really focus more on the well-being, self-care, and how to navigate the imposter syndrome, particularly in females who wants to do multiple hats. And that was my first time that I started to come back to myself. I started exercising, I started doing all my things, and by September, so I started this group around April. By September, Psychiatry Boutique was live, and exactly
you were back in it.
Working it, very consistent, social media, every Friday post and interviews, and very engaged until I said, I really want to grow. And I found you, and I'm so happy.
Yes. And it was just, I think we're meant to take a certain path to get to who we are today, right? Because without that burnout, you almost left the medical field.
You almost
said, I'm done. I'm going to go be a Walmart greeter. I can't do it anymore. And I felt the same way when I was in nursing, as I was getting so burnt out on the traditional healthcare model. And it's all about the bottom dollar. And we lost our way, right? I've always said somewhere along our path in healthcare as a country, we've lost our way. And it became more about making money than it is about truly helping people. And what we get into this for, why we choose this path, this career, is we want to help people. And you were feeling that. And you found a way to dig yourself out from that. And now you get to practice what you preach, right? You practice what you preach. You live that model of life every day of self-care and making sure, and that's what helps prevent your burnout. And we're finding ways to change healthcare, to truly disrupt the system, to say, hey, guess what? You can make money and truly help people. You can pay your bills and truly help people. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing together. I'm so impressed by you. I'm always impressed by you. And that's, I think, an important part of business is one thing that I've learned in business. So taking off the clinical hat and putting on the business hat. One thing that I have learned in business is do a business, pick a partner that you truly believe in, that we are, and don't get us wrong, we argue. We don't argue, but we debate, and we have differences. But I feel like with us, we're the type of people, and we have so much respect for each other that we're able to sit down and talk out our differences and come to an agreement on how do we move forward from here. And it might be little things. There's little things that come up all the time that we might have differences on. What phone system, what EMR system are we going to use? All of these little things from a business perspective that we can have these healthy debates on. And I state my case, you state your case, and then we decide as a team, what direction do we want to go? And if we fail, we fail together and we pick each other up.
That's
so important in business to have that in a partner is we have each other.
And I do have the same sentiment.
Yes. So where do you see yourself professionally in 5 years?
Girl, in 5 years?
Taking over the world, right? Pinky and the Brain. I watched that with
5 years, but really, 5 years, I would like a more idea that we are just cooking now.
Without getting too into it, right? Without
up and running. Because I do feel that now we are making impact, maybe one family at a time, one kid at a time, slowly. Yeah. In 5 years, I want to be impacting communities. I want to be impacting the whole system. I want to, I don't know, I'm just so angry with the system because, I mean, you, me, we have both been very closely related to the system, and it sucks. It's horrible. It's not pro-patient.
No,
and it's pro maybe profit or pro-insurance.
Pro-revenue. Absolutely.
And when a loved one, it's in those shoes, and you are the one dealing with this craziness in the other side of the... I want to be the resistance. I want to be that person to show the world that even though we are literally like going directly to like just crash, there's still hope. And in the next 5 years, I want to show that it's possible.
It's possible. It's possible to do both. It's possible to go back to old school medicine, the way, the good parts of it, where you have a provider that really knows you and you have someone to really help guide you through your crisis. It's possible. It doesn't have to be this detached, desensitized, jaded form of medicine where you're just a number on a screen. You can really, truly care about the patients. And I think that there's a lot of other clinicians out there, doctors, nurses, MAs, LPNs, psychologists, therapists, that are getting so burnt out on the system, on healthcare. And they're leaving healthcare, and I don't want them to leave. I want to be a safe landing place for them to say, let us reinvigorate your love, your passion for caring for others. Let us give you your voice back, because what you do really, really matters. Our world cannot survive without you in it, without you caring. Let us
thing I do realize
again.
Yes. One thing I realize is when you work under corporate and you're not up there, you're just maybe a staff doctor, you don't have a voice. Period. Yes. There's no other way to say it.
Yes.
You don't. So I want to change that. I don't know. I'm very frustrated and I get angry when I talk about it. So I'm sorry if you notice my change of
tone. No, it's fine. Get angry. You should be angry about this.
But you know what? We are not just talking about it, Nicole. We are acting. We are moving. Can you tell people what are you doing tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So real quick, tomorrow is Autism Day at the Capitol. So I am going with my youngest, Miss Riley, and we are going to go to Tallahassee, and we're going to meet with legislators, and we're going to talk about autism advocacy and studies and the way that things need to change, because things really need to change. And this is how, as a constituent, I can use my voice. As an autism mom, I can use my voice. And as an autism professional and clinician, I can use my voice to say, hey, things need to change. We're not doing everything that we need to be doing for this. So thank you for letting me talk about that, for letting me to plug that. Yeah, I'm really
But it's
excited. And
important.
this is
It's
how we
part of,
change.
yeah, it's my point that we're not just saying, yeah, we're doing this, we have a new business. No, we do have a new business with a big plan. But on the side, we are trying
We're
to
also
really make
advocating.
changes, advocating our
We're up there.
foundation kits.
Yep.
We're still doing a lot from them, and we're not really getting paid or getting anything extra from the, you know what, we do that extra mile because we care and it's necessary. Without
Yep.
this processes or part of treatment, we are not complete, you know?
Yep.
So
Absolutely. This is a big change, right?
I feel fulfilled. I was thrilled when the Martin County District sent us an email the other, day, being so thankful and grateful for the way we have been involved.
Yeah.
People
Yep.
don't get involved the way because you don't get paid. But we're not getting paid extra for this, but we have to do it because if we don't, we're not helping this child.
Yeah, I think that that's really important, to be able to identify that there are certain things where, in places where we are able to go above and beyond to really help these families. And that's that balance, right? That's that balance that I had mentioned of, you can make money and have a healthy practice that has the ability to grow and help more people, but it doesn't have to only be about the money. You've got to keep that bigger goal and that bigger mission in front of you of, why are we doing this and what is our why? And we really want to change lives, and we want to save lives, and we want to help people. So thank you so much for bringing all of that up.
Thank you for being my partner in crime.
Yeah, partner in healing. We got to go with partner in healing. I feel like partner in crime is your like typical cliche.
Yeah,
But it's really partner in healing. I like that so much more. It's so much more positive.
You see,
all right.
We just invented a new one. So
there we go.
partners
We invented
healing.
a new tagline. We partners in healing. So
Yes.
all right. So to kind of wrap this up. So to close this out, what is maybe some advice that you would want to give any listeners that have made it this far in this podcast?
First of all, trust your process. You have no idea how the flow of life will take you. Understand your boundaries. Celebrate your wins as small as they are. Take care of yourself and increase activities that you love and enjoy with the people you love the most. I think that will give you your purpose. That will help you to clarify and see your why in life. So that's
I love it. Well said.
And thank you, everyone.
So much. Yes. And thank you to our listeners for listening in on us. Our next podcast, my next podcast, is going to go into the dark and dreary world of healthcare insurance and healthcare billing. So it should be, I hope, a really good podcast. You'll learn on that podcast why that Tylenol that was given to you in the ER cost $112. So hopefully it's a really interesting podcast for people. But in the meantime, thank you, Dr. P, for joining me today on our podcast. And go out and change the world and be courageous. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.